Welcome to The Digital Chair by Salon Monster, a podcast for indie beauty pros and salon owners who'd rather be themselves than follow the rules. I'm your host, Liam, and this week, we'll be talking with Joseph DiMaggio about turning technique, hospitality, and purpose into lasting mastery. I hope you enjoy it. All right. Okay, fantastic. So I am here with Joseph DiMaggio. Thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to just give us a, 30, 60 second, however long you like, synopsis of who you are?
You know, it's always hard to talk about that and not try to blow your own head up a little bit, but just keeping it straightforward. I'm a very passionate person. I have been in the industry, let's say 22 years, I would say.
Yep.
Traveled all over the world, educating independently and also on behalf of some pretty prestigious brands. And I have mainly worked in the education, mentorship, and kind of fashion side of the industry for the majority of that. I still take clients here and there, but I'm not behind the chair every day. I was in the beginning of my career. I'm from New York City originally, and that's where I cut my teeth on, the whole thing. And we still work there constantly. But we've also lived and traveled and worked all over the globe, like I said. Yeah. So besides that, like I was mentioning before we hopped on the call, I have this a little bit unique background of engineering before I started doing hair. Okay. So I went to school for about 2.5 years. I didn't finish my engineering, which I kind of semi-regret, but I did very well in school. It wasn't that. I just wasn't passionate about programming circuit boards and sitting behind a desk all day. I wanted to be creative in a different way. And I knew that the corporate life wasn't, for me. I'm covered in tattoos and I like to listen to loud music and all those kind of things that is very common in our industry and with creatives. So I left school and I was a drummer in a hardcore band and played in many bands and managed bands. And so that's when I started cutting hair without any training, without any nothing. Just, hey, it's super punk rock to just, cut your hair, do some block color at the time, which I didn't even know. We just bleach and then, a little bit of manic panic, whatever. Yeah. And I was doing that to the other guys in the band and then the other bands we were on tour with. And then eventually some of the showgoers. And I was in South Dakota on Warped Tour. We did this, Warped Tour, the whole.
Nice.
Yeah. And this actually comes out of a negative situation. A beautiful thing arose because we started in Texas and worked our way up the West Coast. And then when we got to Vancouver, right, our van was broken into.
Of course.
Downtown, which, back then is pretty sketchy. And we didn't really know. And
as someone that lives in currently and is born and raised in Vancouver, I apologize on behalf of the city stealing your stuff. Like I said,
something beautiful came from it. So it's unfortunate, but they broke into the van, stole, not in the trailer, but into the van. And left my backpack in there for some reason. And it had all my cash and, because back then it wasn't, digital stuff wasn't as common. So I started cutting hair out of necessity to get lunch money and just daily money. Between shows and when I was managing and helping, I would set up at the merch tables in these big giant field at these festivals on a drum stool, no cape, no nothing, just run to the slip and slide guy, get your hair wet, come back, right? I'm cutting with all 4 fingers, not 2. I'm using this finger to cut, just scissors from Shoppers, you know what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I still have if you could see all these V scars.
Oh yeah, you do.
From cutting past my second knuckle.
Cutting way past.
I love them. Now, they're kind of war stories. But fast forward to the South Dakota event and I was okay, go to the bathroom, look at it, come back, let me know, whatever. And I was charging $10 at the time, just whatever to just get some lunch money. And she comes back crying and I'm oh no, I totally...
What have I done?
Yeah, I botched it and her boyfriend's going to beat me up. So she comes over and she goes, "Thank you so much," and gives me a giant hug. She's like, "I feel like myself for the first time." And I was like, "Whoa, what a
That's a new
jarring."
feeling.
Yeah, totally. And the like the A line, we call it like the shotgun blast, like the
Hmm.
graduated Bob with the A line was in, and I was just like shaping it like a bonsai tree. But I was, that was kind of the everybody wanted that at the time in the scene.
Hmm.
So I did my version of that, and she absolutely loved it. And I was like, "Whoa, I just made someone feel good for the first time." And I was like, "Imagine if I actually knew what I was doing." So I
Yeah.
continued that music and tour life for a while, and moved out to California. And I was like, it's kind of hard to get on my feet here, independently at that age. I was doing graphic design as well, to kind of get by in some odd jobs. But then I decided, I was like, oh, you know what? I really like the hair stuff. Like, let me pursue that. I don't want to live in a van with seven dudes for the rest of my life. It's
Hmm.
really rough. And
Agreed.
at the time, that music and that genre wasn't really gonna produce like, we were passionate about it, but it wasn't gonna produce like a livelihood that is sustainable.
Yeah.
Um, and it turned out that you can. It like really blew up. But regardless, I don't regret my, I was able to do both in tandem for a while until hair just kind of took over. So I moved back to New York and went to school in the city,
Hmm.
and started apprenticing right away out of school, and then worked behind the chair for a while, built a beautiful clientele, and then um, I got the opportunity to do my first fashion week. And
Cool.
and at the time it sounds so naive, but I was like, I didn't realize that the fashion side, even though I'm from New York and like worked in like, I just didn't
Yeah.
realize it was a thing. And I was more of a cutter because that was more of my training. So I was like, styling is not really, I don't know, it's bridal. That's what I really
Hmm.
thought at the time,
Yeah.
as crazy as that sounds. So I pursued some opportunities, and I was obsessed immediately. And I was actually going to leave New York. I was going to move to Kentucky, to Louisville, to go um, be with more of my friends, and just have more of a quality of life. And I was like, why am I working in the city? Like, I can be this giant New York shark, like in a like kind of smaller town, and enjoy life. But then I did the fashion week the week before I was supposed to move, and I was immediately obsessed. I was like, okay, I can't leave now. So then, yeah, worked behind the chair for a little bit longer, and then left to pursue, editorial basically, and then started building my portfolio and my book, and got an agency and did that whole thing, and then eventually, joined some brands. They picked me up and
Yeah.
was able to grow in that department, and I became obsessed with helping other people grow. And
Awesome.
because I saw that was more of a sustainable path for me. It was more fulfilling for me. I had a lot of, if I can be vulnerable for a second, like, those traditional goals in the editorial space, like shooting for Vogue Italia and all these things, and leading shows in Paris. And I'm very grateful for those opportunities, but they didn't really, like, when I did it, it was like, didn't really bring me like sustainable joy, or like, it wasn't
Yeah.
like, it's like, wow, like, what I mean? There were just these goals that I would just, quote unquote, crush. And I was, from the outside looking in, it looked awesome. But on the inside, I was like, okay, yeah, like I expect that of myself. Like I just work hard, and I'm, I'm a good person. And so, I'm going to get opportunities. And that was it. But it wasn't fulfilling me internally like educating was, like when
Yeah.
I was mentoring someone and I helped them grow, and I helped them, to understand how to seal the cuticle and to get a nice blow dry in a without crushing their body. I'm like, this is so much more. It was just so much more rewarding for me. And that's a really rough life as well, the freelance life, financially,
Yes.
and it's glamorized and romanticized a lot, but it's insane, insanely
Yeah.
a lot of free work, and a lot of, you know, and I don't know if it's even sustainable anymore at all. I think I was kind of on the last legs of it when when I through there. So after I left my agency to pursue more education full time and working with brands and working on my own brands, then things, I still work in that field, of course, I still do it, but not, it's not my main thing, because I just, how many more photo shoots am I going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I love to be creative and stuff. And again, I still partake, but it's not my main focus, because it doesn't bring me as much fulfillment. And I just don't feel it's my the best use of my time when I have had so much success helping others, and it's a win-win situation there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, it
sorry that
sounds
was
like
long-winded, but kind of brings me to kind of
no,
currently.
no, no. That's what we want. I mean, it sounds like the same thing that got you into the hair industry is what got you to transition out of pure editorial and moving into education. That sort of different type of fulfillment you get when you're helping someone else as opposed to taking things off a box. And I mean, I get it. Editorial's awesome. And I think those of us that try and do that, the goals are always New York Fashion Week and, Vogue Italia and French Vogue. And there's things you want to do. They're exhausting jobs to do. They don't pay what anybody thinks they pay.
If at all, if at all.
It's kind of like doing the hair show circuit where really the upside is if you're at a place in your life where you want to do really cool looking things and party with a group of people when you move around doing interesting things, it's fantastic. But actually being like a sustainable thing, where you won't slowly kill your health, it can be a bit complex to pull off. So you, at that point, you transitioned more towards education?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of always done them in tandem. Like I said, I was doing editorial and education basically split. And then eventually my agent was just like, hey, something's got to give because we're trying to book you for this, but now you're traveling for education to go teach over here or whatever. And they weren't getting a cut of that. So, they felt some type of way. And at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I don't want to put so much stress and strain on both of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is my heart taking me? And I'm just, to be honest as well, like financially, it became more stable as well for me to pursue. It wasn't my main push at all. Just please understand that, but it was
Yeah.
definitely more of like, hey, yeah, I put in my invoice, I get paid within the reasonable time.
Yeah.
It's not this. I have to, my agent has to chase down random companies to get paid 30, 60 days later. So um so yeah, and again, like I felt like I built my portfolio well enough to establish myself, and we've always took in fashion week. So this entire time, so last time I think it was my 38th season or fourth, something, I don't know, something
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, we've been doing it a long time. I've built an incredible team from all over the world that has come and trained with me for years. I have people that have been on the team with me for over 16 years, um, and I'm so grateful for that, and I've seen them grow and blossom, and they've helped me grow as well as a mentor and leader, and just as a personally as well. So it's a family, and we do some really cool stuff. So twice a year, for New York. So we've done Paris and Milan, but it's quite expensive to, to fly out there, put everyone
Yeah.
up, and brands are hesitant to sponsor. It's depending, but regardless, like
Yeah.
there's a whole thing there. That's a whole universe in itself. But we do it because we love it, and it helps. It's great for content, because people like to see that, and it inspires them, and it helps to fuel our education as well. But we just enjoy it. We love working in that pressure, thriving in that under that chaos somehow, and it's just a time where we can all come together and just after we go to dinner and we're like, how do we just do that? Like, how did we just pull that off in 2 or 3 hours with all those
Mm-hmm.
models and, working with a makeup team and wardrobe and everyone's yelling backstage. And um, so it's something that it's the best and worst thing, but it's
Yeah.
that we can't ever walk away. Like
Sounds like a compulsion to a degree where it's like,
yeah, for sure.
I have to,
And
I can't.
yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just too much. And then the designers keep calling, and that makes you feel good. Like, hey, we loved
Yeah.
the hair last week. It was made our collection so beautiful, and I've looked at the pictures every day, and that just also means those relationships that we've built with those designers in the fashion world is not everyone's like a fashion person. Like we have some really great relationships that with some really creative people, and that's just what it's about, doing
Hmm.
creative things with people that you enjoy and that respect you and you respect them, and um, you know, it's it's a beautiful part of the industry.
Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah.
love it. So when you shifted over to more full-time education, was that for brands at that point? Was that on your own, a combination?
Yeah, originally. Do we talk about brands? Like, can we mention brands and
We
stuff?
can you can mention anything you want.
Totally. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, I went to school for Aveda and at
Okay.
Aveda, sorry, in the city when it was still corporate, and then it sold to Estee,
Hmm.
and the Advanced Academy was attached to the cosmetology school in the city. So I befriended and kind of just hung around because I was like,
Hmm.
the people working in the academy. I wanted to I loved education. I was a sponge. I just wanted to learn and grow and say yes to everything. And at that time, I was young, so I could, and I didn't care about anything else. I didn't care to get paid.
Hmm.
I didn't care about. I was just super hungry.
Hmm.
And luckily, I found some cool mentors and also ran into a lot of egos as well, which,
There are
happens.
several.
And I never understood that. If someone's young and they're looking up to you, and I don't understand why you need to behave in that way. You know what I mean? Like the whole jealousy and um, there's plenty of hair. I've heard that along. It's
Yeah.
not. I didn't make that up, but it's absolutely true. Like there's plenty
Yes.
of hair for all of us to do, and I'm a big believer in intention. That's that word itself is like the whole cornerstone of our education, of all of our philosophies, of our life. Like, what is your intention? Your why. So for us, it's again to help people grow. But when you're starting out, it's like my intention is to grow. So we have to seek the right mentorship, and so I got a taste of both. I got a taste of great mentors and mentors that I knew that I didn't want to grow up to be like, and
Yeah.
kind of put a bad taste in my mouth.
They're both
So
important.
yeah, absolutely. Like I don't
Learning how
regret.
not to treat people is a fabulous
Absolutely.
skill.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, I don't want to be like that when I, grow up, quote unquote, like so to speak. So I left, did the salon thing, and I was like, kind of swore off brands at that point. I was like, it wasn't my thing.
Hmm.
Aveda was a great company, and I love their philosophy. Their products are
Oh
great.
yeah. Well, there weren't a lot of places teaching people how to teach either. Like that was one of those rare places I've heard from lots of people that actually had a system for teaching people how to teach people. Most
Yeah,
people just have to figure it out. And most people don't figure it out.
yeah.
And a few people do or are naturally gifted.
So I was just junior, like assisting, I would call it. I wouldn't say I was officially teaching or anything, but I was just like showing up to be helping hands for the educators at the time. And but I learned a lot. Like
Yeah.
I learned in many ways, technically and also that. But then I worked behind the chair and started to develop my own systems and techniques of doing hair cutting and finishing and all that kind of stuff. Because I came from an engineering background, my
Hmm.
brain works in a very like, again, intention. What is step one needs to set up step two needs to set up step three, and it's
Yes.
all based on efficiency and being effective and not wasting time or doing unproductive steps. And I saw a lot of that, around me in the salon, and I was trying to stay humble, but I was also like, still questioning, like, why is everyone doing this? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And then
You keep
eventually,
waiting. I kept waiting for it to dawn on me. Maybe I just don't understand. I guess at a certain point I'll understand why
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
exactly.
would do it by feel or using metaphors or whatever it was everybody was doing.
Yeah, and again, I always start every class or any kind of session with any stylist that there's no wrong way to do hair,
Hmm.
right? It's an art form, so if you can achieve success, totally, right? Like game on. We've based our education philosophy around a system that has what we call measurable metrics, right? So, again, like I was saying, efficiency, effective, how much effort, everyone can get to success, But those other three things like are things that we can measure. How long did it take you? How tired are you? You know what I mean? How many steps did it take you to get there versus someone else? It's not so we never say that our way is better or whatever, but it's pretty clear, cut and dry when you look at the metrics, right? Most people on average do a solid blowout behind the chair in about 30 to 45 minutes is the average time that the answer when we ask how long, globally, that's kind of the average. Some people 20, 25, right? Where we can do it in 10 to 12.
Right.
Because we have a system and also because we're coming from the backstage where we don't have time. So we have to be the most efficient, and also we can't cut corners. Like the standard is much higher and the stakes are much higher, I would say, backstage, because when they hit the runway, there's no filters, there's no Photoshop, there's no anything. So, and we're working with girls with every different texture under the sun, and they might be coming from other shows with tons of product in their hair. We don't have shampoo bowls. So we really have to have solid systems to work with all of those conditions that normally you don't in the salon, because we can set up the perfect environment, which is great, right? But so I always tell people that like if you're great behind the chair, it doesn't necessarily translate to backstage. But backstage skills absolutely help you crush even more, behind the chair. So we've been able to bridge that gap with our education, because most editorial stylists want nothing to do with the salon industry.
Yeah.
And they're that's just the fact, for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter. But I've always loved both, and there's great people that are willing to work hard and have good intention, that work behind the chair, that want to come and dip their toe, or and start there and go further. And we've been, with our programs and with our trainings, we've been able to help check off that bucket list, and help coach them in the right way, because you can't just show up and hold pins and product. Like we appreciate that sentiment, but if you're there, you're going to have to know how to do stuff if you're taking up a spot, because it's not a learning environment, I would always say.
Yeah.
You learn a ton, but it's not a learning environment. Yeah. And the mentors that I had backstage growing up were like brutal, like rip you new ones and just slam you down. And they're just like, I'm just here trying my best. And it's like, no, your best isn't always good enough. Like we have standards backstage, and it was a rude awakening for me, but I loved it. I was like, cool. I'm from New York. I have thick skin. Say whatever you want to me. I'm in it. Like, just let me know what I need to do, and I will rise to the occasion.
Well, you go into battle together, don't you? I mean, it's kind of like a team sport, but a little closer to battle, in that the like consequences aren't just 1 out of 80 something games you lost. It's you bring the group down if you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're set up in that, for example, what I mean by that is what I've created, also based on what I didn't want to create, from my experiences in the past, and when I started, was an actual team.
Yeah.
Working with some of the OGs back in the day, it wasn't really a team. It was just individual freelancers, and it was a little bit cutthroat. It's like, hey, this is my model. Don't touch it. Like, don't touch her or whatever. And it wasn't this like, hey, can you come help me real quick? Or, hey, do you need help? Do you need a hand? Like, it wasn't that, unfortunately. Not every team, but a majority of the teams. It was like they were.
No, I saw it. I've been doing hair for 27 years. I saw that
like
same.
Hunger Games.
Yeah. Oh, like, yeah.
Why? We all have a common goal. We all have, and so
it's all they know.
Yeah,
a lot, right? It's like they were treated that way, therefore they assume that's how you treat other people.
Yeah, and I worked with my mentor, who I'm super grateful for, even though she was super tough. Odile Gilbert. I was one of her main assistants for a while when I first started, and then she signed a contract with another brand that stipulated that they basically had to use their team or people that they would bring, which didn't have any skills or training. So it was kind of a nightmare. She could keep like 2 of her main people from Paris, but the majority, and this was a sales incentive for people to buy to buy product. that you get to come and work backstage with Odile. But there was no education, there was no training like to set you up for success. So uh, I basically got pushed aside, and I happened to be with L'Oreal at the time as their master ambassador for session, and so I was like, okay, what do I do now? Like I just lost. I was, I wasn't looking to do my own team or to do my own shows at the time. I was learning from Odile and just doing all the top shows. It was an incredible experience, and I didn't want that to end. But so out of this circumstance, I started to build my own team and to I had contacts from my agency and we got requests. So that's where it kind of started. And I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do it differently. Like I saw what happened when they brought untrained people backstage, and she's just was even 10 times like yelling at everyone, and I'm trying to help her run around and coach people like on my little mini scale, because I understood what was going on. I was just trying to, be a lubricant to the friction. But so when I started my team, I was like, okay, guys, we're going to train first, right? Come work with me on set. You know, come over to the house and we'll grab some mannequin heads and start, or whatever the case was. And organically that turned into like a full blown training program. And, so that, you can, but it beyond that, it will help you back in the salon. And also, you're creating content for your clientele, which they love to see, and that you're being a part of that. And it's because it's less than 1% of stylists that ever get to even do one show,
Yeah.
let alone 20 years of working the show circuit.
So cool.
So very, very grateful for that. And to see the confidence that they have, which is the biggest reward for me, when they can pull off a ponytail in 3 minutes backstage, with just all of the pressure. I'm just like, I would cry, and I'm like eagle eyes. I'm like, I'm working on models and but I'm always looking to oversee, I'm always watching because that's my role. And when I'm like, oh, yeah, like in my head, I'm just like having these mini celebrations for them, like championing them because,
they got it.
Yeah, that was, yes, that's why we train. That's why
Yeah.
we do this 2,000 times, and I, kick your butt and push you so hard so that when the time comes, I'm getting emotional right now. Sorry,
Yeah.
It's just, cause I'm like, I know you hate me. And when we're training, cause I'm like, I'm really strict on them, but because I care, and because I know what they're capable of and I see their potential. But you gotta also push yourself. You gotta do the work. I can't do it for you.
Yeah.
I already did.
Yeah.
It like
When you want to do the failing while you're practicing, not not in a show, there isn't room for it. You can't not complete it.
Exactly.
And I would imagine when they get it, when you see them getting it and doing it, they must know it's worth it. Like they must know at that point
Absolutely.
that's why we do this. So you get to have this feeling. You did it. This is almost impossible, because to me, it is. As far as our industry, the quantity of people that you could pick out of our industry right now and just put in a pressure cooker at New York Fashion Week and have them come out unscathed and complete it's going to be pretty small. Most of us are just not trained to do that.
No, it's a completely different skill set and beast than salon work. Timing, how we use product, you know what I mean? Working in a team, actually, we always have teams of two working on each model to be more efficient and to help each other. And they might switch and become, one's holding pins and then whatever the case is, or sometimes three. But that's what I've cultivated is that. So we're very protective of who we train. It's not a pay to play thing. Like obviously you have to invest in the training, but we don't accept everyone. Like I don't care how good you are, how not good you are. They're like, oh, I have all this speed. I'm like, I couldn't care less about that. Like I care about your attitude and how you treat other people backstage, like our team and everyone, the models, everyone. That's more. I can train you. I could train your hands to do what I need you to do, but I don't want to train your attitude or work on, I can help coach you on one-on-ones to work through those things, but not backstage. That's not the time or place. And we've built a beautiful team. Like I said, that we have a community now, to be honest with you. And, we have a group chat and it's all, you have the support, this whole support now that we're very grateful for. So we're very protective of that because we don't want any, and people weed themselves off if they start and pretend they have the good intentions and then they change. And it was like, okay, we see your colors, and
Yeah.
stuff happens, of course. But yeah. So
Do most of the people in your team come from having done education with you? Like, is that a lot of the time, or is it just people you've met? Is it all over the place? It just
yeah,
sounded like you were saying some people are up coming to get education, taking a class with you, and then, or a series of them, and then eventually becoming part of that team.
yeah. So we have a specific backstage program to come and, like, if you are looking to call it auditioning for the team.
Yep.
It's about 20 something, 22 days, depending on how fast you move through the program of training. Most people, we break it up at 4 days at a time because
Yep.
it's an investment and you have to take time away to actually come do the training full on with us, with me or one of my senior team members. And also to establish, like, hey, is this for you?
Yeah.
Like, that's also like the other reality of it. Like, do you have what it takes to push yourself to our standard?
Yeah.
And it's not an ego thing. It's like, hey, there is a standard that we have, and you have to live up to that. And some people have no problem with that, and some people struggle with the amount of repetition that we ask them to do, and the guided practice, essentially. So not very many. They always want to step up and rise to the occasion, and we help to motivate them. But it also helps to weed out the people who are just, yeah, and all this. It's like, okay, well, yeah, let's see what you got,
Yeah.
and again, attitude is everything for us. I don't care if it's your first day doing hair, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you have the right mindset and you're willing to work hard, then, open arms for sure. But I have had a lot of, very cocky, egotistical salon owners who have, money's not an issue for them or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, sorry, no, we don't have any spots on the team right now. Like, I respectfully just decline them because I just already know
Yeah.
it's just going to be a cancer. Not them as a person, but just like the dynamic. So it's sacred for us. So we want to make sure that, but we always try to reserve spots for the hungry ones and the ones that we see the potential to help them grow, and also that we can help them, to help them grow.
Yeah.
It needs to be a win-win situation for us. Otherwise, we don't really want to partake because we never want anyone to feel taken advantage of. We don't want to be taken advantage of. I've wasted a lot of time training people and then they don't show up. And it's like, why did you
Yep.
just do all this? You invested and you trained and then you don't actually show up to the big show. And
Yeah.
it's not like an anxiety thing or whatever that I don't know. And they love the education. They'd use it in the salon. Like, I'm just like, okay, like, it's not about that for me. Like, I need people to help me come
Yeah.
and, and to do the shows. But yeah, when we see them actually get it, then I feel like, okay, I have a rock I can count on, and that just alleviates pressure from me as a leader to say, okay, I know that they can do that. I don't need to overwatch them so much, and vice versa, and kind of stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your education organization called?
So, again, it started organically, and then I was watching this documentary called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Have you
Oh,
seen it?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
So
Fantastic.
the
Amazing.
thing. So they mentioned this word shokunin
Yes.
in the documentary, and essentially, when you translate it to English, it does not do it justice of the
No.
true meaning behind the word. And let me just preface this whole thing. Shokunin is not an ideal word to pronounce or for a brand or for anything. It
That
is
doesn't matter. It's
absolutely
yours.
a nightmare.
You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like no one. I was like, how do you say that? What is that? Whatever. And I'm just like, the meaning is so strong and so dear to our hearts. It is our hearts, to be honest with you. So we're like, I don't care. Like, it is what it is, and it's a conversation starter as well. Like, okay, now we can explain to you that a shokunin in English, when you translate it, is like an artisan or craftsman,
Yeah.
but it goes deeper than that. So a shokunin, the kind of the definition that we use is basically someone who masters their craft to serve their community.
Yeah.
So they wake up every day and want to do better and better and to serve their community and to serve people, to serve others. And that's exactly why we exist as a brand. Like we want to be, the best mentors and educators for, certain groups that we navigate and gravitate towards, um, and vice versa, to serve them, to help them grow.
Yeah.
That's our main intention and our only intention. That's it. That's why we exist as a brand. So Shokunin, the name of our education is Shokunin Click.
Mhm.
I'm from New York. I grew up doing graffiti my whole life, so kind of to keep this like urban, like street vibe, like we used Click with a K, just I
Mhm.
don't know, just not to make it too serious as well. Like
Why not?
Shokunin Click, it's just it
Yeah.
is what it is, and it's grown into this thing now. So and we've come out with some tools, but now we're switching to another more mass market facing brand, like that everything is getting rebranded under tool wise, but education wise, we're still, and our team is still Shokunin Click. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I love that word. I love that word. I love that documentary. For those that are listening and don't know, if I remember correctly, it's the one about the Michelin starred sushi restaurant. Is it in a?
It's in the Ginza subway station.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So beyond cool.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
half my clientele is restaurant industry. My wife's a wine director and sake director, and a pile of restaurateurs and chefs, and so
Yeah.
that type of documentary is immediately something I would go see the minute it comes
Yeah.
out. I
I grew
love.
up in the restaurant industry as well,
Okay,
coincidentally. My dad is a pretty accomplished chef, and so I grew up,
nice.
since I was 7, 8 years old, like peeling potatoes and stuff in the back with my brother, and did every job in the restaurant, which I think is incredibly uh, helpful skills in life.
Well, no
Just to
wonder you can survive hair shows, like fashion shows. I
yeah,
mean that
it's very similar to
insanity on
so
the
many.
line for like 5 hours of the most intense
Yeah,
feeling you're ever going to feel. Um, Mimics quite similarly there's no room for error. If you mess up, you've screwed everyone else down the line.
yeah.
um
So it's definitely, you got to find that harmony. And the super unfortunate thing is I'm deathly allergic to seafood and shellfish.
oh no.
So, and I go to Japan quite often, and I can't go to, like, I guess I could walk in and try to shake his hand and meet him and, his
Sure.
sons, but I can't
I
experience
know.
it for myself and appreciate it. But from the outside, I also think that there's something special that I'm so moved by that. And, how he trains his apprentice, where it's like you master one thing first,
Yeah.
like, just learning how to build a tolerance to holding hot towels, like hot wet towels, that because that heat needs to be so intense, and you need to build that sense, that that tolerance to it. And then you only work the rice, and then you only make the eggs, and you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
just until repetition, and you can't do anything else. I think in the documentary it says like his own son was an apprentice for 30 something years before he let
Hmm.
him start doing, and I'm like, how many of us
Right.
in the industry would apprentice for even more than 5, 10 years? You know what I
This
mean?
is not a North American cultural trait, right? It's the reason shokunin doesn't translate effectively.
Exactly.
We have artisans. We have incredibly gifted artisans. We have almost no one left of the level where you apprenticed for 40 years before you took over the business. And the fact that every craftsperson in that culture is like that. Like, you don't, the amount of people I know that have dabbled through 3 or 4 different crafts throughout their life, that's just not a thing that happens. For better or worse, I'm not saying it's
Totally.
all good,
Yeah.
but like the level of time spent developing a piece of part of a craft there is, I understand this and I still can't really wrap my head around it.
Yeah, it's just something that always inspired me, and maybe I was, Japanese in my past life, but that whole master apprentice like relationship, and you know, I absolutely there it just resonates with me so deeply in my soul, and the one apprentice I did have that I would say went the furthest because it's quite difficult. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty intense, and I'm not always the easiest to deal with, and I have high standards and expectations. But the the one apprentice I had that went the furthest is absolutely crushing in the industry,
Nice.
um, on the highest level in the editorial world, and I couldn't be more proud. We don't have the closest relationship, unfortunately, anymore, but I understand. It's okay. I can still sit aside and be nothing but proud and like.
Sure.
But he put in the work. He absolutely put in the work, and I plucked him right out of hair school. 2 weeks, I was like, all right, you're moving to New York with me. You have, I see you have what it takes, and we would shoot all day, and then he'd be in his room practicing his flat wrap blow dry till 2 a.m. And then we wake up at 6, 7 the next day, do it all over again. And, you know, 19 years old is incredible,
That's
and now,
amazing.
now he's in his late 20s, but absolutely on top of the world. And so the training works. It's kind of, who do they call me all the time? Um, oh my God, why am I totally blanking? It's not Pai Mei from Kill Bill. Like it wasn't that intense, but um,
Oh, is it from Karate Kid?
no. Why am I totally blanking?
Because you're trying.
Yeah, essentially, is it's like some kung fu master that's like really.
Yeah.
I'm
Like a
so.
sensei type of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They call me that, and I'm just like, guys, come on, I'm not that. I'm not that crazy. Like I'm not that intense, but it's yeah, it produces the fruit there,
Yeah.
and you have to have that friction and that those challenges, and what I mean, struggle is really important part of the journey and to become a master. um, One of the main things that we always say is, which is so sad, that when you take a poll of these current generations, and you say, what are you afraid of, and failure is one of the top answers consistently, and I'm just like, what a sad view and perspective of failure.
Well, and what have we done? What have we built that I have two kids. My oldest is 10, and I talk to him regularly about failure, and it's tough because he's like me, and I like to be really good at things before I've even started, and he's similar. But I talk to him about how failure, it shouldn't be given any power. It's simply part of a process. It's like rinse and repeat, right? It's like learn, try, fail, learn, try, fail, learn, try, fail. It's just part of a cycle of how you get good at a thing. You're going to fail a whole bunch of you might fail most of the time depending on what your level of success looks like. But it's sad that we've set things up that there's a generation that's most concerned about failure
Yeah, I
because the
think even the past generations also had that fear, but I just feel
absolutely.
it's more prominent now, for many reasons. I don't want to go into social
Well,
stuff,
yeah,
but
there was more room for failure. I mean, you could
yeah,
fail and make it.
yeah, and nobody was watching. Like everyone, there's eyes on everyone now, more or less, kind
No,
of, but
there's
no
no
one.
video record of me being a teenager. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly, exactly.
There's no, people had to buy film. There's like three
Yeah,
photos total because no one could afford to take pictures and
totally.
develop it. So there's no record of the myriad of things that would not be ideal if still existed on video on the internet.
Yeah. So
Um,
we always say to take the long road, essentially. We have this thing of like road to 2000. Like you're not allowed to get upset, beat yourself up, judge yourself, get frustrated until you've tried something 2000 times.
yeah,
Um, because to have the expectation to be good right away, especially with the hair industry, and it's not even like an ego thing necessarily, it's just like this subconscious thing. It's like, well, I've been doing hair for 20 years, and then they take a class with me and I'm like, okay, can you do this type of sectioning, and they're like struggling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're good at what you've been doing for 20 years doesn't mean you're gonna be good at everything.
No.
Same for me. Like I even, I call myself, I'm like, I can't, like, ask me to do foils. Like, I'm not a colorist at all. Like, I'm going to struggle and stumble, and I'm good at what I've been doing for the amount of time that I've put into it.
Yeah.
Um,
I had
so
a
I
friend
say,
ask me the other day if I could remove their their hairpiece, which was, I can't remember if it was knotted in or glued in. I think it was glued in. I'm like, absolutely not. No, I've never done anything like that.
yeah,
I'm not gonna. I could cut it out, but
yeah,
but the rest of it, I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe.
And there's a
Um,
lot of that in this industry. There's so many different, which is great. It's a whole universe in itself. But um, yeah, if you take the shortcuts, you miss all the good stuff, is what I
yeah,
say. And you don't have the confidence, you're not building confidence, so it's not sustainable. um, we always say to take the long road, not just go straight from A to B. I could teach a monkey how to do hair, but they'll never understand the why.
yeah.
And that is for me the biggest thing that, you know not that I'm anyone, but in my, in my own world, that what I would say is one of the main things that makes someone masterful versus not is when they can explain their why, right?
Well, it also helps. I mean, you can't. That's how you solve problems. You can't fix a crazy mistake if you don't know why you
Yeah.
got there. You
and,
can
and
look at it and
it's
go, I know it's not right, but you might not be able to figure out how to undo it or how to mitigate certain things. It's just important to understand why.
Yeah, and we actually flip it as well the other way. It's not knowing just the why, but it's that you've done it so many times the wrong way that you know
Mm-hmm.
why all the other 1,999 ways don't work or aren't as efficient, let's say, right? Or as effective. So, because there's many ways to do things, of course.
Sure.
Let's print that for sure. But not just how to do it and why, but all the other ways. Especially as an educator, I think that this is one of the biggest missed things that kind of drive me crazy. When I started educating, I understood, just because I really work on self awareness and situational awareness and environment, like all of this, like just what's going on, right? Um, Being an educator is a completely separate craft.
Yes.
And I don't think that, it's unfortunately in this industry, just because you're good at hair, you get opportunities to be in certain, you know, areas of the industry of potential influence. And again, I'm not shitting on anyone. Do your thing, but for me, I always took that very seriously as a heavy responsibility that I'm happy to carry. But I'm gonna do that justice and understand that in its deepest depths. Being an educator is a completely separate craft than hair.
Hmm.
So I've actively worked for countless years on mastering, also educating, not just hair. So I could teach you how to cook in the same way. I could teach you how to, change a tire on a car. I can teach whatever, set up, build a website. There's many things that I know, like anything that I know, I can
Hmm.
communicate in a very effective, efficient way because of that. And I understand that, and I feel that most educators just do their thing and show what they do, and either they purposely make it about themselves or they subconsciously just kind of make it about themselves and
Yeah.
not about the actual students, which is going back to the first point of this is the root word of educate, right? And that word breaks down to educe. Have you ever heard that word before?
Hmm.
Yep. So I looked at that, and that has completely directed our whole philosophy and systems of educating. It's to bring out something latent or potential in something else.
That's so cool.
So it's not to regurgitate information or to tell them anything or to teach, right? So I'm very weary, and I am very careful when I use that word to teach, right? Because educate is completely different. And most people have no idea that even, yeah, teaching and education, they're synonymous. They're the same thing. They're absolutely not the same thing. So we have approached all of our education that way. We don't give you anything. We help you find it in yourself, or we help it bring it out from you, because it's already there. Like, people have it in them already. Most of them, let's say, like,
Sure.
99% of the time. But and it's hard. It's harder. It's so much easier to give them the answer, but when they have to work for it, and like I said, there's that component of struggle and that friction, then it's more rewarding for them. So you're cheating them out of that reward, because you want to look good, like, everything. It's like, what are we doing this for? The intention. Why are you
Yeah.
educating? Right? Is it to actually help them, or to make you look good in front of all these people? Right? And the
Yeah.
industry is very nice and very, very kind, but so they'll allow you that space to do that, but it's not really maximizing the potential of those interactions and those engagement. So that's what I think sets our education apart very deeply from a lot of other education. Again, lots of great education in the industry, and
Sure.
different types and approaches and mindsets and philosophies, but that's our why, and that's our, where we're
Yeah.
coming from. We genuinely want to help people grow, but we have a system that's in place with structure and all these techniques from an educational craft, not have has anything to do with hair, nothing to do with hair at all. You can apply that to anything in life, and it will, produce the same results.
It sounds like you're talking about almost like the difference between showing someone how to accomplish a result and showing someone how to do the process that will get to the result. But I'm going to show you how to understand the process and replicate the process and do the process, rather than just how to make it look like the result.
Exactly. And again, a big majority part of that process is failure.
Yeah.
Learning through your mistakes and discovery, and saying, okay, why did that happen? What, and there's all the things that come along with that. So it's like falling off of taking the long road,
Yeah.
where you're going off the path. So we say sometimes, when you're learning, right, and growing, that unproductive steps are actually important, right? Like, that's where you learn, like, oh, that is not productive. That's just as important as learning the productive steps, right? So,
Yeah.
and then when you get there, you have that confidence. You're like, hey, because that's a lot of the thing we also help coach and mentor on, especially the younger generation, is confidence. It's like, well, how do I get more confident? And, how do I make these decisions? I have skills, I have a sense of aesthetic, but I don't know which choices to make. Like, I'm not confident in, like, if, where a fringe should go, or should I put face framing or whatever. These types of just, examples.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, you don't have confidence, right? Like, like, we need to build that confidence, and so that you understand the why. Why would you choose to do these and not do them? And that comes from the long road, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, failing and saying, okay, this didn't work, this works in this situation, and that takes time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I lost
Well,
my.
and it's hard on the type. I mean, there's lots of different types of people in our industry, but I think it definitely tends to attract a couple of key personality types. And I know I don't like making people not feel good, and trial and error on real people will some of the time result in someone not liking how they look. And I would take that personally. It's a hard industry to fail in. You're not just in a lab, and you can. I mean, obviously, when you go do education, you can do a bunch of it in a lab. You can do a bunch of it on a mannequin. You can understand the theory. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to do it on a person at a certain point, and you're going to do it wrong on a person at some point. And that's hard. So that failure thing is hard for some people.
But it's the best. It's the best
Oh,
lessons, right? Those are
yeah,
the
it
best
doesn't.
lessons.
Yes. No, 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 no. Yes. The more it sucks, the more likely you are to not do that again. I mean,
I'm still haunted. I have a cousin, Christina. If you ever watch this, I love you. Sorry. I was in hair school, and my entire life, I didn't know my cousin had curly, wavy hair. She just literally straightened it every single day.
Yep.
Never knew that. And I cut her fringe, and man, did it jump. Again, I'm in school, so I was
Right.
like, yeah, I'm awesome at fringe. Like, I can totally give you a little side fringe. So I cut it,
Man.
and it was long. She didn't have any, and a bang or fringe at all. It was quite long, and so I went from there. And when you take that much weight off, when it's being used to all that gravity,
Yoink.
right? Super jumps. So she lost it, and
The
then
gold set of
we got
bangs
us,
sitting up
yeah,
here.
we got us some clips to just kind of twist it and pin it, but and then it grew out.
Sure.
But
With time.
but that I never, every time I cut anyone with texture hair or slightly texture hair, that immediately is ingrained in my mind that, okay, hey, remember that jump? And I've been doing hair so long now, and that still is like, that lesson has never left me. So
That's a type of trauma you'll never, you can learn to incorporate it, but it'll never be gone completely.
no. And I'm okay with that. I'm good. I'm like, hey,
Sure.
it was a great lesson. And, let's go a little, we can always go shorter, but
That's what I say to everybody. Yep.
Yeah,
I can't put it back.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I'm cognizant of time. What I really want to ask you, I want to ask you a couple of things. One, if somebody were just getting into the industry right now, whether it be about to start hair school or just completing hair school, what's one or two pieces of advice that you would give them?
Man, I could talk to you forever. So yeah, definitely keep track of me on time, but
oh yeah, well, I'm not. It's your time more than my time. I'm not worried.
Totally.
You can ram.
I love to do this, and I give as much as you want. Again, set your intentions. That is the number one thing. That is probably one of the most important things, and the most successful things we've had with our education and mentorship is helping young stylists and new stylists and old stylists as well, that just they get stagnant and bored, and they're just like, oh man, I need a revival. And we just start there. What is your intention? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to do hair? Because like I said earlier, right, there's a caveat here, sorry. Your intention should be set up to align with things that bring you joy. That's the caveat.
Okay, yeah.
So we need to establish what that actually truly means. What actually brings you true joy? And unfortunately, we have to break this barrier of what they think, and this is really the majority of the time, not a surface level goals, right? Like
right.
Superficial things. And I'm not saying superficial in a negative way, but they just tend to be these superficial, like initial surface goals of like, yeah, if I can accomplish this, it will bring me joy, and all the, you know what I mean? If I can hit these benchmarks, like that will make me happy. Those are my goals in my career. And like I said, for me, I hit giant benchmarks and goals, and they never really brought me joy. And it was very fleeting. Maybe I was happy for like 5 minutes, and then I'm like,
sure,
cool, what's next? But actual joy, like I said, and so we really do a lot of work, which you can do yourself, or talk to your family, your friends, or, trusted people in your life. Or if you do have mentors, fantastic. But set intentions. And even if you don't know the answer, which is usually the case, if I ask someone that, we just want to plant that seed, right?
Right.
Why am I doing this? What do I want to get out of it? What brings me joy, right? Because you have to understand that this industry, behind the chair anyway, which is the majority of what everyone's doing, we're serving others. We're in the service industry. We serve others. And if we can understand that they don't come to us, this is what I believe anyway. It's not right or wrong. It's just what I believe. That clients don't come to get their hair done.
Mm-hmm.
If I can go there.
Yeah.
And I ask this in class, why do clients come to us? And they're like, oh, to feel good and all this kind of other stuff. And I'm like, well, think about, again, the restaurant and going to the restaurant industry. Like, why do people go out to eat versus cooking at home, right? And I kind of break it down to the simple fact that people just want to be taken care of.
Yeah.
They just want to be taken. That's psychologically the baseline. They just want to be taken care of. They do that through a haircut, through a color service or a treatment, whatever. That's the meat, like that's the vehicle, right? But they want to be taken care of and they want to feel good. So if you're, for example, like a chaotic, messy stylist, they come and sit down, you're late, you're stressed, you're pressure, right? There's color in your bowls and there's product on your, hair everywhere.
Oof.
And you're like, don't worry, in the end it will look good. It's like, no, it's not about the actual service. If you can
Yes.
understand this, then it's not about your haircut and how good technically sound you are. Most of the time they don't really know. Some are savvy, but right, it's not about that 5 minutes in the end where you turn them around and they reveal and they're like, oh, okay, I can breathe, I look good. They want to be taken care of, and just like you would go to a 4 or 5 star restaurant or a Michelin star restaurant, right, where everything is taken care of, then you'll be
Yes.
very truly successful. So we always talk about this concept of customer service versus hospitality. Customer service is how you treat people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want water? Do you want coffee? Whatever. Anyone could do that. And sometimes customer service can totally feel like disingenuous, right? Like you're reading a script. Versus hospitality, right, is how you make people feel.
Yeah.
And I always share to focus more on that, right? You can be a technically mediocre stylist, but you have amazing hospitality. You will be massively successful. And I've seen it all
Absolutely.
day.
I've
I'm
seen
like,
it
how
so
are
many
they
times.
so booked, slammed, right? Everyone wants to get in with them. They're doing okay hair. It's not, the best, but they're killing it, right? And I've seen a lot of insanely technical stylists just not understand that aspect of the industry,
Yeah.
um, and fail and struggle to build a clientele and to do all these things because they don't understand that component. Now, I'm not saying rest on just that. If you're technically sound and you have amazing hospitality,
Yes.
listen, you're that 5 star restaurant, then you can charge those pricing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a special event, and you will be wildly successful. Um, so that's a huge part that I like to share for sure, because I think that that's very important. And a lot of people, they come in, they're like, yeah, I get to be creative. I get to, they make it all about them. And usually when we ask, why do you do hair? Oh, I like making people feel good. Cool. What happens the minute that you're late or you're running behind? Where does that intention go? Out the window, right?
It hurts me physically to
Yeah.
see that. Yeah.
So I go, listen, if you're running behind, that's why systems and education and structure are really important to establish,
Yes.
right, in the beginning of your career, so that you can help you get back on track. But hey, if you're off all day, you're off all day. But you should never waver from your intention initially of making them feel good, because that's what keeps you successful. That's what keeps them coming back and retention. And that's what will give you confidence at the end of the day, even if you are behind. I
Yeah.
gave every single client 100%. And I go, always say this: listen, Mrs. Jones, I'm sorry I'm running behind, but let me just reset my station for you so that
Yep.
it's perfect.
Yep.
Right? Not just, hey, come on, and
Yeah.
even some of
No.
the clients are so nice that sometimes they'll be even like, hey, you don't have to blow dry my hair. Like, they'll help you catch. And I'm like, you're so kind, but no, that's not, you know, let me make it perfect for you. It's an extra 1 or 2 minutes, whatever, to clean up your
Yep.
station. But then you can reset here, you could reset here, you could reset here. And then they're coming into, the proper intention so that it's aligned. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. I mean, you're building that. I've just recorded a video yesterday that we're going to post at some point about consultations, but in it, I talked about how the only thing that's important to me is that my guests leave feeling better than when they arrived. I
Beautiful.
don't care if I got to express myself as an artist, if it was the greatest service I've ever performed. Don't get me wrong, those are fabulous bonuses. I thoroughly enjoy those, but that's not the point. They don't. It. I like to control it from the moment they arrive, so they feel taken care of, and they know I'm in control of the whole thing. There's
Beautiful.
no sense that they might not get what they want, because I'm the parent in the room. It's my job to make sure everything's taken. All you have to do is sit here, tell me a little bit about your hair, and if you don't know, I'll get you there. as long as you leave happier than when you arrived, I don't really care what happened in between.
Yeah. And you said something beautiful there that we also talk about is you feel in control. They feel that you're in control, right?
Yes.
And, you know, we have this whole kind of concept and it's become this big social thing about Karens, right?
Yep.
And I think I actually saw something posted on your page or one of the pages that, you know, some you guys were kind of discussing that and pricing and all that. And I always ask, how many of you have difficult clients, right? Or some difficult, and everyone, yeah, of course I have that one that I dread and, you know, I don't want to do or I don't look forward to when I see them on the schedule. And I'm like, so why do you do, there's two things here, right?
Yes.
There's two ways here. Why do you do them? Because they're energy vampires and usually cancers to the vibe, right? And I don't think that financially that's ever justifies continuing to do them if you can't serve them and make them happy. But there's another perspective that I like to look at is why are they that way, right? And I always loved the Karens. They always gave them to me at the desk because they're like, Joseph just handles them a little differently, right? And like you said, consultation was a massive part of that. Setting myself up for success, managing expectations, and communicating what is realistic. That's our
Yes.
definition of what the consultation
Yes.
is, right?
Saying no, telling them it might take more than one service, not just saying you can have whatever you want, but if you can control the whole thing.
But it's understanding this point as well, which I think helps enlighten the situation is they're probably traumatized from something in the past. Usually 9 times out of 10, this is my research and experience. And you are probably giving what I call a ton of nonverbal cues to show them that you're actually not as in control. Maybe, again, you'll get there at the end of the day and they'll have nice hair. I'm not taking that talent away from you or that skill, but could you be setting yourself up for success, right? Are they coming into a messy environment, right? How are your sections done? Are they clean? Are they organized? There is so much that you can communicate non-verbally by setting up the environment, how you handle yourself, how you know what I mean, how you talk to them. Are is everything lined up? It's like the presentation and those details that helps make them feel that they're in good hands and that you're in control,
Yeah.
right? And that's why they feel they need to be in control. That's what makes them a Karen, right? Or difficult is that they don't give you the control very easily or at all, and they fight you. And it's like, okay, why? Why are they not giving me the control?
Yep.
And then you have to call yourself out. Am I not deserving of this? Am I not showing them my best? Am I just focusing on the wrong things, or am I missing a key part here that I can easily gain back their control and trust, right? If I just did these things that I don't even have to say, hey, no, don't worry, I got you. No, I've been doing this no, they don't want to hear that. That's hard to believe. But when you walk into a restaurant, right, and there's food smeared on the table and the silverware has crusty,
No.
and spots on the glasses, can you walk out? Can you walk out of that restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And you're like, no, I'm not eating here. This place is, gnarly, right? You can't really, you could do that in the salon situation, but it's much
won't.
harder, right? You've made an appointment. There's all these policies in place.
It's personal. It's one-on-one. It changes things a little bit. That dynamic's a little different than I'm leaving the restaurant as opposed to I'm telling this person to go screw themselves.
I got a bad vibe. I don't want to eat. Sorry, I got a call. You can a million ways to easily walk out of that situation. Where behind the chair, there's a lot of in your way, and so I feel that but if you come into a 5-star restaurant, everything, right? The tablecloths are ironed. They popped a napkin on your lap, right? Everything is perfectly polished. Dessert tray, you know what I'm saying? Like these.
You don't have to think about it.
And those are the details that I say can set you apart from the other stylists in your salon, but more importantly, the other salons in your city. Because technically, could they go somewhere else and get just as good a haircut, if not better?
Sure.
Totally. Right?
I promise you somebody can do everything I do better.
Like, no one should have that ego that they're the best in their city, because it's silly to even talk about, right? but what are the things that you can control that can set you apart from, right, the other stylists and the other salons? And honestly, like I say that should be a salon culture,
Yeah.
right? So it's about creating the culture of your clientele and your salon, so that's a consistent experience no matter who is engaging with that client from the minute they walk in to the minute they leave, right? So that's another thing that we help coach salons on and mentor salons owners, teams, management, to say you have to have all of this in place to have a successful, cohesive, smooth running business as much as possible. Of course, things happen, but so those are kind of things that I really like to share with new timers, like, or getting into the industry is all those perspectives, all that mindset, setting yourself up for success always. We have a thing called doing whatever it takes, right? Like, if you want to be successful, are you willing to do whatever it takes, or are you just going to do your best? So we have a thing on our team where if we want to sarcastically bust each other's chops, I always go, "Oh, hey guys, thanks for doing your best today." Right? And from the outside, it's like, "Oh, what a nice guy." But meanwhile, I'm totally like throwing a dig at you because I'm like, "Oh, thanks for doing your best."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I love it.
Because I'm like, you know better that that's not right. So we always say your best isn't guaranteeing success, right? It will only take you so far, your best. So if you really want to be successful and you really want to accomplish something, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. No ifs, ands, or buts, no excuses, like just whatever it takes. That's my mentality and mindset, and that's the only thing that has gotten me to where I have gotten in this industry and in life. It's not about my talent or natural skills or anything that, like, I possess naturally. It was my mindset of I want to do whatever it takes to accomplish my goals. And I always say legally, please, like within legal reason.
Yes. No. Obviously. No, but, I'm with you on that one.
It's that. And then the main other thing is finding a mentor. I feel that a lot of this industry has felt that they can, be their own champion and do it on their own. You absolutely can. It's just going to take you a lot longer, and you're going to fall on your face a lot more. And there's some beautiful things to falling on your face, but I don't think you need to fall on your face that much, because it can be discouraging and it can push you in a different direction and make you fall off the horse too many times where you don't want to get back on, versus finding the right mentor as well, which is another key point. You have to find the right mentor and someone who's willing to invest in you and help you grow. I also feel that a lot of mentors don't understand that as well,
Yes.
And again, unfortunately, they make it about them. Again, this is all feedback that I get from when I do, have coached people and I'm out in the field globally, not just in the US. But there are a lot of great mentors, and, they totally exist, and they're totally, in your area. You just have to seek them out. So don't think that you have to do this on your own and do the whole salon suite thing with, just out of school. And I'm like, oh man, what a missed opportunity there. I understand there's pros and cons to everything, but I think that, those outweigh especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my little salon suite. My friend Brittany rents my chair the days I'm not doing hair, which is most days these days. But there are things you miss if you decide to do that right away. There's just stuff you miss. There's stuff that happens in the culture. There's stuff, I was in a 12-chair salon when I started, and you're just going to see so many different ways of doing things and conducting yourself, how to be a person, how to treat people, everything, all of it's important. And I think you miss out if you don't work with a group, at least for some of the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just to see, hey, what's this about? What's everyone doing? And then you can kind of, navigate from there. And even if that was a horrible experience for you, you still learned.
Yes.
Like, you could still take away mountains of things that, to help you to align with what brings you joy and what works for you,
Absolutely.
So I think that those would be my initial, like, if you
I love it. We'll do a whole other one of these, and we'll deep dive into the other 15 to 25,000 of them.
There's so many other things, but happy to give. But those would be the initial ones. Make sure that you're getting into this intention with the right intentions. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy, and it's not sustainable for you, and you're going to flip flop and find something else.
Well, before we wrap up here, I just wanted to ask you quickly about tools and the stuff you're making. Tell me a little something. I see I see early access request stuff on the Instagram page. I see some things. Just give me a little quick rundown of that, and then we can do another one when
Yeah,
we
for
have
sure.
time and deep
Yeah,
dive
so,
into just that.
yeah, absolutely. So keeping it brief, like I said, I have an engineering background before I started doing hair. So when I got into the industry, I was a tool geek and obsessed with all that. And we had a mobile guy that came to the salon and would
Hmm.
he ended up really befriending me because he was like, this Joseph can give great feedback on a technical level. So he's like, what should I order? What should I not order? Because I could also open up the dryers and look inside and see the quality of the components and what was, just not to get too sciencey or nerdy on it, but I could go that deep, and fix dryers even to that point. Um, so he would always then push those things that I would recommend based on solely on my recommendations. And
Hmm.
then as I grew into the industry and became an educator, and then Brent started approaching us at trade shows, and Joseph, can use my dryer on stage or my tools on stage, and I'm like, no, sorry, like they're garbage. And they'd be like, oh my god, why are you saying that? And I'm like, well, are you open to a conversation? And most of these brands that have existed in the industry, they have no idea what they're selling, genuinely. And I'm not talking shit on anyone, and it's not out of a malicious thing. They're just business people, right, that got into it because it's a great industry, and they were told XYZ with these marketing terms and buzzwords that sound nice, but no one understands or really gets, and will pay more money for them all day. And the really sad part of this, and the ugly side, is that there's no regulation in our
No,
industry, which, if you even understood that, there was no way to test it, or to, no regulatory board to confirm that, if something is ionic or ceramic, for example. Not that you even understand those words in a true sense, from again asking this in class every time, which we then absolutely teach you about, and then so you can be informed and educated on. Um, but yeah, it's just the Wild West, and everyone's taking advantage of my homies, and I
sure
don't
is.
like that. So
Yeah.
I essentially have spent the last 16, 17 years in most of the factories in all across Asia: China, Korea, Japan, um, Singapore, and uh, have learned, what's actually inside, and the whole process from design and manufacturing to molding to all the way through final use of our education and technique, and how we use it on the highest levels at backstage. But so I've worked with brands, I've consulted for brands, I've done a lot in those years. In the last 4 years, we've been working on a new brand that now is fully, our baby and our pride and joy since COVID, called Pomo. And we're launching our new PM1 dryer. Um, we've pre-launched it, but it will arrive in June, July to the
Okay.
States, depending on customs and how that all plays out. But
Yep.
we have worked very hard on this, to deliver a tool that will last and that performs for actual stylists. I hate the whole cheesy term of like for stylists, by stylists, for stylists, or whatever, because it's not true. It's not true. Like, the biggest miss for me is this whole Dyson thing. Everyone has jumped on this Dyson, and I'm like, they have no idea what they're doing. Unfortunately, in my opinion, you could like it, you could use it and love it. That's fine, but from like a ergonomic perform, like what is actually capable, and there's just been this massive gap between how we actually use tools and how they're
Yep.
made. No one's
Yeah.
having no one knows how to even have a conversation with the engineers, and the stylists don't know how to talk to each other, right? Because most of the our entire time of using tools, we've just been using what is available, Does that make sense? So we just got used
Absolutely.
to what we were given. Engineers don't do hair at all.
No.
They don't do hair at all, or even really talk to a hairstylist on a level. You know what I'm saying? Dyson definitely did research, but not on the level with, they usually went after celebrity hairstylists or stylists that were famous, or, and I'm like, that's fine, but they don't technically know how to give specific feedback that would, translate in a good way, in my opinion. So there was a big missed opportunity there, which is, hey, good for us because now we can, which is why we exist, so that
Yeah.
we've been able to. That's why I said my background is very unique. I haven't met anyone else that has the full understanding of engineering and manufacturing, all the way to like how we teach to use the tools.
Yeah.
Not just for our body and ergonomics, for stress and strain, so we reduce fatigue and all of that, but also the techniques of actually finishing hair on the highest level. So I've been able to bridge the gap. And when I talk to the engineers, they're just like, holy, their minds blown. Cause like we had no idea. Like we
Yeah.
never even, that's not even something we would even think about. And so, it may look like just a normal dryer, but the design and the intentionality.
It actually doesn't to me. I mean,
Okay,
I
great.
see the shape similarities. Like I
Yeah,
understand that it is
yeah.
the shape. It doesn't weight wise. It looks very different. Like where the weight is, how
Beautiful.
long the motor is in behind there.
Yep.
Um,
So balance is absolutely one of the main important things. You can have a
yeah.
technically lighter dryer on paper, but it feels heavier because the balance is off.
Yeah.
Right? Like the center point is off. So there's so much stuff, like, again, hard work, details that went into this dryer to make it, what it is. So we can deep dive into it next time, but yeah, this outperforms everything else on the market by a minimum, I think, of 26%, if not higher, on all the
Wow.
metrics. So most of the time, on average, we're outperforming in 40% on a lot of the metrics that most people don't even look at or notice. But you'll notice it when you use it. There will be, I will say this, there will probably be initial like week-long adjusting period
Sure.
because of how different we calibrated the motor, the speed, the heat. And there's a massive educational part which we're actively working on, and we'll continue to work on to educate the market on all of these things. In hands-on education, and also through content we're working on and making, to serve the industry and to serve the market,
Hmm.
to help elevate them. So we're very excited about this. Nothing but positive feedback so far, and we're continually, we're already working on another version in the next. You know what I
Of
mean?
course
Just
you are. You
like,
couldn't not.
yeah, yeah. And
I
then,
mean,
from there, we're doing flat irons and curling irons. Again, all with intention, but there's no fancy bells and whistles. There's no LCD screens. We know what the main problems are in the market, and usually they make them on purpose to kind of burn out 3 to 6 months. You know what I mean? So that you buy a new dryer.
hmm
Where I'm like, hey, there's no fancy LEDs because those electronics are the
I
things that
don't.
tend to burn
Why
out.
would I need that? I know if it's
You
hot.
did. Yep. You got
I know
three
what hot air
speeds.
feels like.
Yeah. You got three speeds, three heat settings, and that's it. It's pure performance. It's like a race car, if I'm going to be honest with you. It's totally consumer friendly, so it's not just for professionals.
Yep.
And we're fully certified CETL and everything.
Awesome.
So we worked very hard on that, and I'm actively in communication with the certification board, actually, to help get us a 12-foot cord, because that is the number one thing that drive.
I was just about to ask you about that. I know it's. I mean, it's the bane of everyone's existence.
Yes. So
We don't all have the luck
we
of having a plug in the floor right behind our station.
so
Um,
we have our legal limit of 9 feet. Like 8.7 usable, because there has to be some technical cable inside.
yeah.
But this is a legal limitation that has been
Yeah.
uh, pressed upon us for all electronics consumer,
Yep.
in North America. So it's not something that we can control. I am, though, working on a very special case with the certification board. Like, they know who I am and they know what I'm trying to do, and we're finding a solution. But just give me like another 6 to 8 months, um, because they're like, oh, we understand. I'm like, dude, this is killing us. This limitation is killing us, and I know that like engineering wise, we can find solutions that we can certify. You just need to understand what, that it is safe, and that, it's a lot of math and, kind of all these things. But
Oh yeah.
I'm I'm working on it, and
I love
yeah.
it. Thank you
And
for working on it, because
yeah,
mine's currently plugged into a why am I
power
forgetting
strip.
what it's called? Well, no, it's plugged into an extension cord, but it's plugged into the same extension cord I use for my air conditioner.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't remember what the rating on it is, but I wouldn't. I've already seen people use cheap ones and they catch on fire and
Yeah,
smoke, and
absolutely.
it's like there's a reason we don't do this. But yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
and we thought about everything to, prior. It's just timing wise, if we were going to certify a new cable, it was going to take another 6-7 months to launch.
oh yeah, no,
and the whole thing. So we're like, hey, we're 9 feet, we can get it out. It's still great. It's coming in this beautiful carrying case.
Ooh, look at that.
So
that is nice. It fits in it. That is satisfying.
We worked so hard on this. So you have your little pouch for your accessories. Your sock diffuser is also going to come with this. And for me, it's a sustainable company as well. It's not a cardboard box you're going to throw away. You can go travel all over with this thing if you're doing bridal stuff or a location. And it's just nice to have. So it's like, why would we invest in a cardboard box you're going to throw away when this is it's very premium, very durable, really protected in here. So we thought about so many things that most brands will take the shortcuts on to make the extra margin, and we're underpriced, if you ask me. Obviously, for performance wise and the quality, I don't know anything better, but we're not pricing it at the top because we want it to be affordable. We're not greedy. We want it to be attainable by every stylist. So yeah
Rad.
round brushes, we have tons of stuff around the corner in the next month.
Where do we pre-order it?
pomostyle.co.
Okay.
In Canada it's a little differently because we have an exclusive distributor based out of Toronto. So if you just DM us, we can connect
Let
you.
Me know who that is. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with Metro Distribution, Metro Beauty, based in Toronto or Vaughan.
Yep.
And they will have it the same time we do, so we're not getting it earlier. So there's no point to pre-order from us, and obviously the exchange rate, right? So you'll be set up to success for that in Canada because they're amazing and they're top quality. But yeah, for any Americans watching, pomostyle.co, and pre-order now. You could save some money and get free shipping. And then, I think we're closing it next week. The pre-order will be
amazing.
So we're very excited. Yeah, we've sold a bunch already, so everyone's really excited and can't wait. And my team that has used them, we've tested these backstage. Incredible. Where it's so helpful for us. I'm not just saying that because they're our dryers, but you actually genuinely see a difference. And even the models comment on it, like, wow, my hair feels so much more softer, and that was so fast. And so it's the momentum is beautiful, and we're very grateful. But this is a brand that's going to exist to build community, to be transparent about everything. It's no gimmicks, no sleazy sales stuff, like pure performance, that the products are going to last and support you and help you.
Can't wait to order one. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you one. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Thanks, Joseph. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Where can people find you?
At Fashion Meets Passion on IG. Not big on TikTok. I don't have any real TikTok at all, but
that's fine.
That's our IG. And
Fashion
then
Meets Passion.
Styling on IG as well. And then at Shokunin Click. So it's all in my link. If you find me, you'll see all this stuff.
We'll make sure those links end up in the description for this one as well.
Yeah, beautiful.
Great. Well, let's do this again post-launch. And thanks a ton for taking the time, my friend.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Been awesome.